Hey YouTube, welcome back to another episode of Track Talks, the series where we talk in depth with creators about their tracks. Today I am joined with AlphaXLeonis. What's up, dude?
Hey, dude, what's going on?
Hey, living that lockdown life. Here we are talking about Line
Oh,
Rider.
yeah.
Like, yeah. And yeah, we're talking about Resurgence today, which was a recent and exciting track for which Alpha has prepared quite a bit of info for us, or so I'm told. So yeah, without any further ado, I will hand it over to you, dude.
Hey, so yeah, I'm AlphaXLeonis. A lot of you from, I guess, who are subscribed to me currently probably just know me as Cramwood. Um, so this track, I really tried to think outside the box of what I wanted to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a quirk. It's a quirk. It's nothing really to say about that on that end. It's not nearly as advanced as what I could make or what a lot of people have been making. But I wanted to really delve into, a lot of the things that really just made Quirk entertaining for people throughout the years. I actually went back. I've been watching so much old Line Rider,
Oh
and
yeah.
I remember going back and seeing something that Hedge had posted. I'm going to mention Hedge a couple times actually. Hedge had posted throughout a couple of my tracks and a couple other tracks how he'd talk about really like small moments in tracks where you'd say that's really cool, or I love that accidental sync, or I love this little tiny section of the track. It went so well, and I just tried to make as many of those things as possible
So like, as many
to
little
this track.
moments, you mean?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I wanted to do that because a lot of people from my experience have been saying that they don't find Quirk as entertaining to watch anymore, or they don't see the creativity behind it anymore, or it's not like
It's definitely
easy to,
more.
or it's not easy to
Yeah.
digest.
It's definitely more formulaic, and I think sometimes
Mhm,
it's overcrafted. Like a lot,
for
one of
sure.
the things I liked about this track, which is more old school, is that it's kind of more like flowy, and one thing leads into the
Mhm.
next quite nicely, which is
I
something
appreciate that.
I,
Yeah,
I think has been kind of lost over the years.
yeah, for sure. I think that's part of the reason why. And I don't get me wrong, I love a lot of the new stuff because I'm still
Oh
that guy
yeah,
that loves
yeah, yeah,
diving into the new Quirk stuff. I love
yeah,
this stuff.
yeah.
I love what you guys are doing with it. But for me personally, I really for this track needed to go back and look at some of the old stuff and bring it back
Oh
because
yeah, yeah. I
you
mean,
can't. You gotta remember where you came from. You know. But
gotta stay humble in the quirk game.
right.
But
So
I mean, there's room for endless variations and
for
styles, of
sure, for
course.
sure. So I also wanted to take another thing Hedge said, and I will tell this to everybody: go back and watch Vision from Hedgehogs for me. Not necessarily the track, since it's not as revolutionary today as it once was in 2009 or 2008. But the message he says at the end of the video kind of inspires me in this game. Not only in this game, but in life. So he says some
Yeah.
pretty nice words about that, and I took a lot of that to heart when I kind of made this. Uh, so I guess to start actually getting into the track, so the goal again was to make something entertaining for everybody to watch, regardless if you understood Quirk or not. I wanted to make it visible that this track matched the song. I also wanted to restrain it because of that a little bit. I didn't want it to be too much. There were sections where I let myself go a little bit because I thought it would be a good point in the song to do that.
Okay.
Um, but aside from that, I really wanted to kind of keep it simple. The other thing is that this is also a huge experimental track for me personally as well when it comes to music syncing. I took a lot from Raphael, who was
Yeah.
known for that. And I also took a lot from other things I do. Like, for instance, I was a percussionist for 9 years. And for some reason, I just never put that into Line Rider until now. Or maybe it's because I didn't have exactly the tools I needed.
Huh.
But I also play rhythm games as well. One notably called Os, or Osu. Some people pronounce it that way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But there are some moments in the track where I actually try to make it seem like mechanic in Os. So that way it would match, the song as perfectly as possible. But aside from that, let's get into this. I'm going to do this section by section. So we have this first manual section here, or I guess I call it manual sections.
Everybody knows like that most of my, I guess.
Everybody knows most of my manual sections pretty much have more flings than manuals, but
yeah. Is this section? Would you say this is more experimental? Because I would say, watching this, yeah, like later on, it seemed like you married the song and the track up a bit more, but this one was, like you said, kind of like a section where you let yourself go.
So, fun fact about this section of the track is that these first sections of manuals before the stack here was actually made in 2012.
Damn.
It technically did get used in the beginning of a WCC collab. I didn't mean for that to happen. I didn't realize it until I went back and started watching old tracks to keep me going. But that's the case with this track. And when it started, I really wanted to experiment with vertical, manuals and space recycling vertically. I don't think it's an orientation many people use, and I think it really stands out because of that. Especially since it's pretty much in this section, he's only really going up and down until he gets to this large manual section over here. I started out syncing to the song when I realized that the syncs actually matched the recycles, and that's when I got the idea of recycling while synchronizing to music at the same time. Because although in LRA recycling is very easy, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure.
It's more potent, in my opinion, because of that, to actually time it to music, and that's what I wanted to do here. So if we play this, a second, get my volume right because it's a little loud on my end.
Yeah.
But so he goes up here and comes down. He's initially syncing to the recycles here, but then he syncs to the stacks here, and then up to this recycle up here. So I really liked how that turned out, and I just kind of wanted to do more with that. Because of that, I just kind of let myself go a little bit. I didn't want to restrict myself too much yet.
Yeah.
Because I didn't. That was a problem I actually had. It was trying to restrict myself too much because then I just didn't want to make the track. Or if I wanted to do something really specific, it was really, really hard for me to do it. It was kind of a little demotivating at times, but just being able to let loose in some little small areas really helped that a lot. I really liked this section right here because the song, where he had his airtime right here, because the song kind of lets up a little bit, but I got away with doing kind of a little bit whatever because there is a lot going in the song as well.
Fair enough.
So that's where I kind of ended up with that. And then I just kept making it to the song. There's not really anything too much special here aside from the fact that these are all Georgiules. And
a Georgiule is, for people that don't know, what?
Yeah. Georgiules are when he specifically rides the other side of the manual through, I guess, either lily-padding or G-wells first, and then recycles it on the other side. So again, not really typical or not really hard in LRA, but it's just for the people who like to dig through TRKs and look for that kind of stuff.
Hell yeah.
This is when I really started, because I think I was making this at the same time as Without You and Crystallized. This is when I really started kind of getting a handle of LRA. You can see the difference enormously in the pattern and the way I make the stacks and everything like that. But here I was trying to keep up the way that Tosh was oriented. I was trying to make it this section kind of unique to itself. I don't want it to look like anything else out there. So I didn't really make solid manuals or anything like that. I just kind of made that manual there and then went to recycle it again to keep the theme going for this section.
Yeah.
And then this, I really wanted to make something different for the build-up. Even me personally, who made a lot of high speed, a lot of quirk, a lot of stuff, I got tired of like the typical drops where like you'll
Yeah.
see someone do like a large shoulder manual or a large shoulder fling or a large fling or just drop in 10 minutes or something like that. I kind of got tired of seeing that.
Yeah.
So, given the tools I had, I wanted to do something that not only matched the theme of this section, but also went really well with the build up. So I have this section here where he recycles it all, but at the same time syncs to the music, and it's quick enough, but in this small area that it kind of still fits with the rest of the section, and then
Yeah.
transitions well into the fling section.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to do that. And then I get to the fling section. So the fling section, I really just wanted to make really simple and enjoyable to watch. Like, yeah, it's flings. Everybody can do flings. It wasn't about that. I just wanted to make this section, feel exciting. And that's about it. So I really just emphasized like so I guess what do you call that? The bass and the melody. So right there, I'm syncing specifically to the bass. So if you didn't have like headphones with good bass, I'm sorry, but that's why that movement exists. But I wanted it to be tight because I wanted people to understand that I was really putting a lot of effort into this, even though it was kind of simple to watch. So we go through here, and I really like this part a lot, actually. This is one of my favorite parts in this entire track, and there's so many like good, like I guess a lot of things that people would say like are super technical or super awesome to watch, or like eye candy worthy or something like that. But I really like this part because it syncs to the piano, but it's the same trick, and I think that's something people need to implement more. I don't think we should stay away from using the same trick multiple times, and I'm going to show that later on in the track as well.
Yeah.
I think it's good because it emphasizes a part of the track. It makes people understand that it's to that part of the song. It gives people in Osu, we call that pattern recognition, where there's a certain thing happening over and over again to the same part of the song. It helps you read the map better, regardless if you're, good at the game or not. And that's what I wanted to bring here. So again, we've transitioned into the little complex syncs with the bass, but then back into smooth, and then we're back to syncing to the piano and melody again.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much like this for the rest of it. I don't like that I put this here. That's one thing I'm going to say.
Really? Why?
The idea was to sync with the intensity of the song as well, because you also start to hear the strings into the background. But I think it was too much. I think it was a little bit too much. I love this trick. It looks cool. But I think it was a little bit too much. That's where I let loose a little bit too much, I think, in this section.
Fair.
But again, the rest of it is kind of the same thing, so I'm not going to go too much into it. And then I sync the roll to piano. So now we're into the fast manual section. And I was afraid of this section being too simple and too unenjoyable to watch. So to kind of change that, I originally had it I didn't have any singularities originally, like in this at all. I was just making it as like a regular like high speed manual from like 2009 or something like that you'd watch from like a closed door or something. I changed it because I didn't think it tied in well with the track at all, and I wanted to feel, they have the same misdirection-y feel that the first section had. So that way it tied it in with the rest of the track, so that way the structure of the track was still sound.
Fair enough.
So that's why all the singularities, you didn't really know what was going to happen next. It kept you on your toes. I still tried to sync to the rolls and stuff like that, or the different fills that were happening in the track with the rolls. I still don't know to this day whether or not it was too much or not enough, or it wasn't done properly enough. I can kind of correct it a little bit, but it was still kind of, it was there. The only thing I really changed about this was the amount of flanules I used. I didn't think it was it really fit this part. Like this right here, I think it should have just been another manual because it didn't. The rest of this is like really smooth, but you can kind of see that it's not really as smooth as the rest of it, and that's just me nitpicking at that point. But
Yeah, we're all judging you
I
for
didn't really
that,
like it.
for those couple of frames, man.
Same with this right here. I think it should have just been a flat sled, but whatever.
Yeah.
We got the point across with the syncs. Another thing I wanted to bring back, I don't think I implemented it as good as I could have, but I wanted to bring back some space recycling as well. So I tried to take advantage of that with singularities. So I have that mixed with the flat side recycle here. Also trying to sync my best or do my best to sync to the music. Because again, I think that was just a huge thing that people would have picked up on in the beginning, and I really wanted that to be notable again. Whether or not people caught on or not is beyond me. But yeah, and I do it again here. So I sync to the fast drum roll here. Again, I don't know how many people caught this recycle, so I don't know if it was really noticed or not.
If in the comments, if you were one of these like 200 IQ recycle catchers, do let us know.
I don't like that section there either. The integration.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
I should have kept it like a manual. But from here, again, I don't like that either. But I mean, it worked because it sank. And this one, I didn't use singularities to transition him specifically because the song was just drawn out more. It wasn't as, I guess the what's the term I'm looking for here? So let's see. So we have the synths going.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's happening now that I've listened to it? What's happening is the drums kind of calms down a little bit, and because of that, it made the song it made this part of the song feel a little bit longer, a little bit more spread out. So
Right. Yeah.
I wanted to make this section of the manual track feel like that, which is why there's no singularities or misdirection. That moves me into this part of the track, which, although looks really simple to create, was actually just a bitch for me to make. And if you remember correctly, sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear.
Oh, not on this Christian show. God damn.
I know you remember that I had showed up to this point. I think it was early 2018, or was it early 2019 or early 2019?
Yeah, it would have been 19.
I've been stuck on this for roughly a year and a few months, not because I was putting it off, but because I didn't know how to make this look good. And I have, even in this, even in just this folder alone, which I had multiple folders, if you notice that it starts out with 27,
yeah,
because this is not the only folder for it to be in. I went through maybe 100 different saves trying to get this right. And it sounds insane, but the reality is I just didn't know why it looked bad. And the reason why it looked bad is because it looked like it was just the same stuff,
yeah,
but going faster. And this way, the way I did it, I inverted everything. Except for that. But like I made the pinch upside down. I mean, I may put in more granules that syncs to it, and I just made it, just
more obvious.
from anything you'd seen throughout the rest of the track.
Fair enough.
I wish I could go back and show you some of the like the early versions of it, but I don't want to like lose my spot in the track and have to go back to it.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, this was a lot harder for me to create and look good at the same time. That moves me into this next part with the alt fling, the giant alt fling that sank to the drum roll again, or I guess the hard buildup. I'm just gonna call it that because while I was a percussionist, my knowledge of musical terms and music theory terminology is kind of limited, but I guess that goes with being a drummer, so I don't know. There's a little drummer joke for you musicians out there. But I needed this to happen here for the rest of the track. For any other time that I had build up, I needed this here. And I'll explain a little bit more. It'll be easier for me to explain why later on. But I go through here, and then this little quick sync here with a little bit of airtime, because there is a little bit of a lull between the roll and between the empty space in the song. So to get that last sync, I just did a little cranio reversal there. And I know it was seems like super minuscule, but it seriously helps a lot. It also helps people know that you're still paying attention to detail. Because I feel like a lot of people thought, in the olden days of me, that I didn't pay attention to detail at all when it came to track making, when it's really kind of the opposite. I just did so much on the background of corking.
Yeah.
That people didn't understand how much I was doing and how much attention to detail I was putting into every little thing I made.
So you had so much detail that your tracks were kind of incomprehensible, basically.
I don't want to say that, because then it just makes it sound like I'm full of myself, which a lot of people thought it was, which I wasn't really trying to do that. I was trying to help you understand that because I was doing so much on this end, when it came to the full video itself of you experiencing the track, a lot of that stuff didn't really bridge the gap to you.
Right.
Or to the viewer. So that's why that little, tidbit exists there. I probably could have just made a regular little stack or something, but I wanted it to be super specific in their cranio reversal. So here I go into more pattern recognition. That's why these tricks are so simple. And I also made these tricks so simple because I knew that regardless of how good the next section was going to be, I needed it to be absolutely, it needed to stand out more than anything else. And to help it do that, I made this part really simple. So it's just simple syncs with nose flings to the beat. And then whenever you hear the loud snare as a cranual, that was the pattern there. And I hope people picked up on that. But that's what it was. And then into, again, those rolls. And then I specifically made a large stack here to the beat again, where the snare came out because of the cramules. I wanted people to really see that I was really paying attention to how the song went.
Yeah, it definitely became more noticeable.
I wanted to make sure that this next part people understood was going to be a little more intense as well, but also still sync. I wanted people to know that I could still do both of these at the same time, which to me was also really important, again, because I really wanted to bridge that gap of people enjoying my tracks and understanding how much detail I'm trying to put into this. So here we get into my favorite section to make in this track. This was probably the most fun I had in Line Rider in maybe 3 or 4 years. Making this section.
Yeah.
And this is also where I just decided to let loose.
Totally.
I let loose a lot, but I also still wanted the structure and integrity of the track to remain the same, which is why most of the syncs, again, are recycles, just like the beginning of the track. There are a lot of the tinier nuances as well, where let's see if I can get to one real quick. So yeah, I sync the stacks here to the music and stuff. But after this part right here at the first 3 recycles that synced, I wanted to create simpler but enjoyable moments that I was talking about earlier, where Hedge was talking about them, that people wanted to say, oh, wow, that was just cool. It wasn't anything super amazing, but it was cool to watch. And I sunk the, it's not bass wobbles, but I guess what would you call these here? where they're really quick. I want to say they're 60s notes. They're probably not. They're really quick notes that the bass is doing, where the hand playing syncs to them. And then you can see that I stopped syncing to it here with the airtime. So it was like a really simple sync, but it was super noticeable. And it's something that you would want to watch, even if it was just a quirk or something that you didn't understand as a track. It was, enjoyable to see. And I wanted to just make that more potent to people by turning them around, using it a couple more times in this section here with the alt fling here, and then the alt fling in the pinch, but then also to do the exact same thing twice to sync to the music again on the back end when, the artist of the song also does the same thing. So it makes it, I guess, more complete.
Fair enough.
Also, I don't know if this is too zoomed out or not.
Nah, it's fine.
Okay. And then again, here I do the alt fling again because it's syncing to different parts that the bass is doing, just like here. Here, obviously, I use a lot of multipliers and multi-lining. Yeah, I don't really care anymore. I'm 27 and I'm playing line writer. I'm gonna make whatever the hell I want. But cramules here were important to me because they also signified really, really, I guess, noticeable parts of the song. Like right here, it doesn't look special, but it signifies a part of the song that enunciates that another extremely hectic part of the song, where a hectic part of the track is about to come, but it's like a little lull there. So I wanted to describe that in these little tricks here, where he's not really. It doesn't look like he's doing much, but everything that happens afterwards, fits it almost perfectly. And I continue with the recycling to the song, because again, I think it's really important to keep that. And it's also kind of, I think recycles, even though they're easy, still have the same sense of wonder for people, where it's like, oh crap, you just got him to go through the same trick twice. It kind of gives people, it's like that skateboarder thing, it's like, whoa, dude, you just did that was sick.
Oh, yeah.
But I just think it also added to how intense this part was and how detailed this part was. I don't really know how else to explain that in words. I apologize. I'm not the greatest with words, but yeah.
Well, I don't know, bro. It was just sick. Let's say that.
It was sick. I tried so hard to do this. this guy, I was like, this needed to happen. I really wanted this to happen because I don't think I've ever seen that before. I don't think anybody's ever recycled a manual as like a cranule, outfling, or flanule or something like that before.
I have no idea.
Except for maybe well-tempered cranule and well-tempered cranule 2.
Maybe.
This is the only other instance that didn't seem like just a major experimental track that I think people have done this. I think it looks really cool.
Yeah, that's just pretty wild.
Here, again, using multi-lining. Who cares? This part, I was kind of testing the waters on a different kind of syncing, where it kind of goes on to pattern recognition, where the first section that was super dense in the XY section that had noticeable syncing was this one right here. It wasn't really that dense here, but you still kind of get the idea. I actually didn't, anything that was intentional here, or anything that was synced here, was actually completely unintentional. I actually just made this because I knew that because there was another part like this earlier in the track that people were kind of just going to correlate, like it's just going to assume the same.
Yeah.
So I just put in alt flings, rolls, and compact parts, and then the only part I really sank was this. this airtime right here with the stack, because if I didn't, it wouldn't have worked. I had tried it already to see if it wouldn't have worked. So I did that sync, and then did all this again, and then that kind of ends me experimenting with that a little bit, and I think it worked out pretty well. I think I got away with it.
Yeah, like often stuff like that can just kind of work out. It's one of those sort of line rider moments.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing. I wanted to recreate stuff like that so that it would make making the track a little easier, because you didn't have to I didn't have to stress about making this part to the song, because I knew it'd just work.
Yeah,
totally. You know. But here I made an alt fling just to sync with the whatever the hell sound's going here. Then this flanule again to bring it back to the really quick syncing, from earlier. And then this little here to make the transition, and then into the slow manuals. I made the slow manuals garbage on purpose, like complete garbage on purpose. Oh, I guess that's still there. I thought that I'd put the notifications on the taskbar where the notifications panel is, but I guess Windows 10 doesn't want to do that. No anyway. Anyway, so I made this part intentionally bad. And I made it bad in a specific way because I wanted people to think I was going to end the track here and do it crappily like I do most of my tracks and kind of fake them out. And then on top of it, I also wanted, like I did before with, the repeating nose flings and, into cramule into alt fling, I wanted to make the next section look that much more impressive than this one. So I didn't put too much effort into this on purpose. And then here I was experimenting a little bit with syncing to two different things at once, where I was syncing with the strings here as well as the piano.
Okay, yeah.
Actually, no, not necessarily. Well, I guess technically it's a string instrument, but not really. It was a harp and the piano. And then here, again, I just wanted to finish out the section. And then, again, I just wanted this to look like, that's why this exists. Like, there's no reason for this line to exist right here whatsoever. Enough, yeah. I just wanted to make it look like garbage because, well, not garbage, but, like, I wanted it to make it look like it was almost the end, or, like, something else spectacular wasn't going to happen, because I wanted this part to look that much better. And so here, it's not really special. I'm just syncing to the song, like just the beat. Well, every once in a while we have the piano in the background, doing fills, and I just wanted to enunciate those fills with the rolls here, G rolls, and alt flings, as you'll see later. Yeah. And then as this part gets more intense, I start, instead of syncing to full measures, I only sync to the beat. Like 4 beats within the measures. 3, 4. Specifically, again, I just wanted it to look like it was getting more intense. Here's another one of those fills that I sync to. And then I didn't want people to think that I was just going to be lazy with it either, so I switched it up to quark. Yeah. And then switched it back. And then it gets people thinking, whoa, this is a lot more than I was really bargaining for, when I started watching this next part. Yeah. I wanted to get that kind of feeling out of people. Also, I love these manual switches. People need to do more, just singularities that don't necessarily speed them up or warp them somewhere else.
Oh, what, just flip things?
Yes, singulars are also extremely useful in the fact that it's just perfect 1 frame 180.
Yeah, they are pretty useful for that.
Mm-hmm. And I think that it just made this part look so good. And then I went back to Quirk for a second, and this is my favorite sync of the entire track, actually, where he slows down the rotation right before the drum kind of does its kick flip or kick or whatever. Yeah. and you can watch that, I guess, on the YouTube VOD, because I don't have sound, unfortunately, here, but
Yeah, people go give this boy some views.
I just love that part a lot. And then this was where I wanted to bring, I guess, the what's the term I'm looking for? The mechanic in Osu. It's called streams, where there's multiple notes happening in succession a lot all the time that you have to hit, and it's also usually in a curvy chain. And
Right.
I wanted to do that because it works so well with this kind of buildup. And I was like trying to brainstorm what ways I could do that. That was also easy to digest, and it just ended up being alt annuals, because the alt flings themselves would have been great to sync with the drums, like I had done earlier. But there's also a melody going on in the background that I was syncing to before that I knew that I could combine with this by using manuals, so that turned into the alt flannuals. And I wanted to do different variants for when the melody changed note, or I guess pitch, or however you. Again, I'm not a music theory,
Yeah.
I don't have a PhD in music theory or anything like that, but
Yeah. Yeah. Something to do with music. That's
yeah.
the answer.
So the notes are changing here, and I wanted to enunciate that as well as use the buildup that the drums were creating, and that's how this section turned out to be. So there's not much to say to this section aside from that.
Yeah.
Also, alt flannuals are super underrated. Like, this one is super cool. Like, this gives like such an unorthodox like effect, and it doesn't really require much either. Like, I didn't use any stabilizers in it or anything like that. I didn't have to do anything fancy. I didn't have to multi-line it to survive it or anything like that. It just has a really intriguing effect to it, as well as being super useful for this section.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot more people can explore when it comes to syncing and alt flannuals, and when it comes to flannuals and genuine syncing, a lot of different tricks. I'll get more to that in probably the last section. And then the drums kind of stop here for a little bit, which is why I use this instead of an alt flannual. But then they come back, and I just use the alt flang rolling
Yeah.
to finish it off. Cranial airtime again. That's also one thing I'm going to mention. I use that a lot. I almost forgot to mention this, actually. I use this a lot because I wanted to, again, put pattern recognition into your brain that cranial airtime means an extremely important sync. And that happens a lot throughout the rest of the track. And that's where a lot of inspiration from Jam, honestly, pretty much single-handedly pretty much helped me finish this track, because I was trying to figure out how to do this properly. If you go back and watch Jam by Raphael, I believe his channel is like Rafiki now or something like that. Just search Line Rider Rafiki Jam, and it'll come up in YouTube. But he did this thing, I think, that was super underrated at the time, because people actually gave him a hard time with it, or at least some.
Really?
Because it was like, yeah, we get your syncing to that part of the track, but it's the same trick every time, yada, yada, yada. And I think that was actually one of the most big brain things you can do in a line writer, is to sync to one specific thing and make it work for the rest of the track, so that people know that that's what you're syncing to. That way you always have something
I mean,
to.
that's one of the things that helps to make some of the more popular tracks we see popular, is that they stick to a couple of movement types or techniques,
Right.
and that helps the audience kind of relate a little bit more.
I did see that a lot too in the who's uploading. I'm sorry, I'm really terrible with names, especially since I'm like not active in the community anymore. But whoever is uploading a lot of the classical music with Line Rider, I love those tracks.
Yeah.
They're like so simple, but like you can see he's really like he just enjoys Line Rider and music, and that's all he's trying to make. And that to me is what Line Rider should be about, is just making Line Rider in a way that, or making tracks in a way that you enjoy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
yeah.
But
that would be either Doodle or Buckley, I guess.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's move backwards here. Where am I? Okay, so cranial airtime. Here, this from here on out, the rest of the track was actually made within 12 hours. So if it was seemed a
Nice.
little rushed, that's why. I
Were
wanted
you
to
literally just like chained to your desk, no sleep, like bloodshot eyes? I've got to like finish this like death mode.
essentially, because I did give myself a due date with the preview I created for this,
Mm,
and work has been hell as of lately for me. I
fair.
work IT for UPS,
Yeah.
so I've been working 60 hours a week since everybody is ordering from home right
Oh
now.
my god, dude.
So I was like tired as shit, and this was like my one day off. I was like, you know what, I gotta finish this today, or else it's just not gonna happen. Not
Yeah.
only that, because I really wanted the high you get after finishing a track, like
Mm,
that creative high you get when you finish something and then you want to
yeah.
make more. I wanted that. I wanted to
Fair.
feel that again because this track to me was really fun to make. So to move into the next part, um, I go back to what I was doing in the first fling section, the first fast fling section. After I guess it was the second section of the track, where I'm just really syncing to the melody of it with the flinks, and then with the pianos and the fills. As you go back to other previous parts in the track, I was syncing with alt fling rolling, or alt fling or rolls or alt fling rolling, any of those. And that's what I was doing here. And here's also again that instance of cranial airtime
Mm,
where I wanted to make that point super important for you to grasp that I guess that part of the song. I'm trying to explain
yeah.
like 8 things at the same time, but
Yeah. Okay, get it.
so I wanted that to be the pattern recognized throughout the rest of this section, where you do flings and then the cranial airtime because the different a different movement's going to happen here because of the flings that are alt fling rolling, and then that's pretty much how I constructed this part. Um, and that's why it seemed a little bit repetitive. I did it on purpose. I didn't do it because I was lacking inspiration, or I didn't feel like I was being creative enough for it. I wanted it to be simple enough for people to get, but at the same time be enjoyable for most people to watch. Going back to that talking point.
Yeah, totally.
Here I used nose ASDFs, which are by far my favorite trick to create in the game. I like mastered
Yeah,
these.
I love those as well. So
I like
personally.
mastered these in Flash to the point where I don't even like look at iterations to make
Yeah.
them. I just know how to make these. I can just draw it. But I did this on purpose because this is where the pitch of the synths changed, and I also used specifically just the 180 switch again here. And I did that because the next time you hear that happen is in the final portion of the track where I do this specific movement and tech a lot. Um, this part's not really, kind of self explanatory. I just needed to sync to the quick part in the song that happened here. I didn't want it to be too complicated, so I pretty much just used the same, I guess, position that Bosch would be in, the squishy position, the seam. So that way, it's just him going back and forth in the music. It's not supposed to be too special, but it was also just an enjoyable moment in the track.
Yeah.
And then I specifically slowed him down to, like, I know I used a singularity here, but again, I don't think singularities just need to be, one thing. I think that using a singularity to slow him down considerably in this section was probably the best thing I could have done here, because then I get to go back. I get to enunciate this part and then go back to doing the same pattern I was doing before. These are pretty simple syncs. I really wanted to start doing pulls here, like 6th iteration pulls here, but I wanted to get the track done, and I just felt the time crunch,
Oh,
So
yeah, totally.
that's why I didn't do it here. I just did like simple stuff into another nose ASDF into a little bit of airtime, which honestly that airtime worked really well for me. So he starts doing this nose ASDF and directional switching here, or I guess specifically more just ASDF based on nose for this section. I specifically used that contact point for these syncs because I wanted it to only be for these syncs.
Yeah.
I wanted people to just see that this is the only thing happening for this, these syncs. I don't want you to be confused because it's quirk or you don't know what's happening. I wanted it to be super noticeable for everybody.
Yeah.
And then again, I just doing fling switches to the music. I do some cranial airtime again here. Earlier, it's later on. There, right there, because again, that signified, in my opinion, a really important part to sync. And so I think if you really just take the time to look at it all in a whole, I think it's detailed enough for people to see and understand.
Yeah.
And it's just pretty much that pattern for the rest of the track. With a little, I liked this part right here. It's just little small parts like this where the music changed a little bit. I didn't want to make these stacks too big. Actually,
I love stacks like that.
I wanted to make it so that you see the loop syncing to the first part of it,
Yeah.
and then he does it again because that's how the song goes.
I honestly wish people made more of it. I mean, I know that they can be pretty time consuming to make those really tight stacks, but I'd love to see like a whole spiral, just like the whole like canvas just filled in with that. Oh, I love it.
Mm-hmm. So with this part, again, I sync to the same sounds as I did as the first couple of cranial times. Again, just to enunciate that.
Yeah.
This part, I don't know how to make this part look really good. I think it was fine because it was like the song kind of goes into this mode where it's like kind of happy and go lucky and I don't really know how to describe it, which is probably why I didn't do as good of a job syncing of it as I wanted to. But this sync serves its own purpose. And then we go back to this pattern, and then just it's kind of simple from here on out. It's the same pattern for the rest, and then it just ends.
Yeah.
Part of me wanted to sync to the slow part just to like ease it out, but then I was like, it's 7 a.m. and I just stayed up all night.
that is like every track ever. Oh my god, all of my last tracks for that.
I was like, I'm probably thinking about it way too much. It'll probably be fine if I just let it go here.
Yeah.
And then I just went into it.
This is the moment where you just face plant at the keyboard and you're just like, fuck, I'm done.
Yeah. So if you have any questions about anything in this track that you wanted to go over again, or you wanted to clear something up, or if you just wanted to point something else out that you think I should have pointed out, you can go ahead. I don't really have much else to say. That was my 2-page bullet points on this track.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty rare people come this prepared, so I have to thank you on that.
Well, the thing is, I don't know. I just feel like, me personally, although I did get a lot of appreciation for the stuff I did early on when I played a lot of Flash, I don't think I would, got this amount of credit I deserved. That's part of the reason why I still play and why I still want to come up with these things, why I still want to do things Hedge told us to do 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
The innovate, invent, and...
You want to push the limits.
What was it? Well, I was like, "These are the greatest words to live by," and I can't remember them. Was it incorporate, innovate, and invent? I think those were the 3 words. Correct me if I'm wrong, YouTube. You're going to, I know, but yeah, they're just really, really good words.
Yeah, well, it's always good when people push the envelope with new techniques and creativity and shit like that. I mean, I don't think I had any other questions. Did we talk much about the song, about how you or why you selected that particular song?
I selected the song because I am a Camellia fanboy. And I actually really, really liked the tone of the song. There are a lot of other... I think it needed to happen because I think a lot of the people who saw the pattern of music choice I had before I quit the first time, I think a lot of people saw me as just depressed and angry with everybody, which wasn't really the case. There were a couple people that I was really kind of upset at because I feel like I was getting a lot of pressure from them in particular that I didn't feel like I deserved. But I liked that this song kind of changed that, and I didn't want people to kind of feel the same way I felt like 6 years ago, you know?
There, yeah.
So yeah, it is those two things.
Nice.
And I really wanted to sync to a Camellia track because Camellia songs have this strong song structure to them for me personally, especially the longer ones that just really feel epic. Like even if you're not someone who avidly listens to electronic music, which I'm really not. This is probably the most out there that I'll get when it comes to either dubstep or anything like that. Or like aside from that, it's just mostly drum and bass. Before that, my favorite genre of music is metal. So it's like it's really far from what I guess that is. But I really like how he mixed this audio track. I think it's really tastefully done.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, yeah, I don't think I have any more questions. I hope you stay around to keep on inventing and innovating. That's something we always need. We do have more. Is there bonus?
You have more.
Stay tuned, folks. There's more. This Sunday.
This is one folder. And then I have my laptop, which I'm actually a lot more comfortable creating line writer tracks on. With back on my trackpad, I found this out that I was just more likely to work on something that was line writer related when I'm about to go to bed and on my laptop. That's how I created most of my tracks.
Fair enough.
That's how I created most of my tracks back in the day, and it seems to be how I make my tracks nowadays. So it's like, it's just the way I enjoy creating tracks. So with that, I guess I do have I want to show some more, but I also want I want some of it to be a surprise.
Yeah, you can't give it away all up front. That's the lesson for life, y'all.
There's stuff. There's more down the pipeline. It's not over. I've been playing this game for 13 damn years. It's not over.
It's never over, man. Like, people go and come all the time. Like, Sorvius is coming back after God knows how long.
Insane.
Yeah.
I'm glad he came back. That Sonic track he made was insane.
Yeah, hit me up, Sorv, if you want to talk about it. Oh yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love the simple stuff too.
Yeah.
But the simple stuff also kind of, to me personally, gets a little boring and repetitive after a while. Like, one thing I saw a lot of people do after I don't remember his original name, but Joshua Nightingale, I think, is his YouTube channel, where he did Marble Soda, and he did the really, really cute dot animation.
Yeah.
The first time people had done the dot animations to it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people tried to replicate that, and I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still super cute, but it's like when you replicate something so many times.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes saturated for sure.
And one of the things I loved about Sorvius and TechDog, all those old writers, is that they're able to put so much detail in just simple game, with one type of line, and they're able to do animations and everything back then too. And I'm really glad that Sorvius is back. I see a lot of people doing cool animations too. Like, I've been following the Line Writer Discord. There's one recently that was super. Who was it? I kind of want to go back and find it.
Oh, was that the one with the galaxies and stuff? I'm trying to.
Yeah, that one was really good.
Was it Sanyong or was it 156R? I can't recall.
I don't remember, but I want to see more stuff like that. I know it's time consuming. It's not that I don't respect the fact that scenery is hard as well in its own right. It's that I have seen a lot of technical stuff done with it, and I just miss seeing it because I'm just the kind of person that likes seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, the more diversity we get in the community, the better. Frankly, it's all sick shit.
To me, it shows a level of dedication that it's a different level of dedication because obviously like people who create simple stuff love seeing the simple stuff with the kind of track they created, and they want to be able to output more of that at a time, and that's okay. I like seeing more content too, but I again, we gotta go back to our roots, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, you gotta like love your line rider history. I mean, that's what that shirt I have mounted and framed on the wall is. I'll see if I can.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah,
So
but
yeah,
like,
so you at home can now see that. That is a signed shirt. I think it was made by In Exile that I had Bostian Cadiez sign. Sorry if I butchered your name, Bostian. So yeah, man, I feel the history vibe. That thing behind me, that is priceless.
like here's the thing: people didn't flood I Ride the Lines because Tech Dog made a lot of simple things. Don't get me wrong. Again, simple things are great, and I think it's cool to push a lot of them out. But I just miss that. That's all.
Yeah, totally. Well, yeah, unless you have anything else you want to discuss in Line Rider, then I think we'll probably leave the interview at that.
I think that's it. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, no worries, man. Thanks for watching, y'all. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If you want to hit me up for more interviews, I'm always available. Just drop me a DM in the Discord, and yeah, we'll sort something out. All right, cheers, guys. See you next time.
See you guys.